A couple words here at the beginning about why people seem to find this type of problem so challenging. And I think it's because in calculus, you start dealing with average values of functions. And now we start to get confused about when we have the average value of a function and when we have the average rate of change of a function. And just a reminder that the average value of, let's say, f of t, and on an interval from, let's say, a to b, that formula is 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of f of t dt. And that would yield the average value of whatever the function f of t represents. Well, in this problem, we're looking at the average rate of change. And if we've got the average rate of change, you have to think what function represents the rate of change? Well, it turns out that g prime, if we were looking at the function g, well, g prime represents the rate of change of g. So g prime of t. And now if we looked at this in the same way, and we talked about average value of f of t, we would say that the average rate of change, the average value of the rate of change function, would be 1 over b minus a times the integral from a to b of g prime of t dt. Taking that a little bit further, you would see that the antiderivative of g prime of t would be g of t, and we would evaluate that from a to b, giving us g of b minus g of a, all divided by b minus a. And this right here is nothing new. You've probably been doing this for years. If g represented, say, a position, then the change in the position divided by the change in time would give you the velocity. It would give you the average velocity or the average rate of change. That means we don't really even need the calculus in order to do this type of calculation right there. Moving to the problem at hand, we want to find the average rate of change of g on 2, 4. So the average value of g prime is going to equal g of 4 minus g of 2, all divided by 4 minus 2. Turning our attention to the table, g of 4, we're going to go down to 4 for x, go over to the g function. That value comes out to be 6. Do the same thing with g of 2. Go to 2 for x, go over to the g function, negative 2. And we can plug that in, yielding 6 minus negative 2 over 4 minus 2. 6 minus negative 2 is 8. 4 minus 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Problem solved.